Let's not shoot you. Just get a small car accident on the road and be found bleeding. And then the first private ambulance that's going to arrive there, they're not going to check your pulse or whether you are breathing vitals. Or not. They're not going to check your vitals like we are taught ABC of resuscitation. They are going to check first whether you've got medical aid. If you don't have, they pass. 72% of their white constituencies are on medical aid. Only 28% are not. But in the black constituency, only 10% are covered and 90% are not.
How expensive is it to be sick in South Africa?
It's very expensive. Yeah. My child has got a brain tumor. They say they want R500,000 deposit before they can even start the operation. Wow. The needle doesn't go in. The person who's putting it fails to get the vein or doesn't have the skill and throw it away and take another needle. You still get charged.
Twice.
Thrice. Those of you who own private hospitals, give us input how you come to the charges that you are levying. One of the things which surprised me when I was told about it is that they charge you even for the building. Where is the money? How is this money? That's where the key is. And everybody is running away from that. Everybody who's attacking NHI is hiding this fact.
King David Studio Podcast.
I managed to get a hold of a minister whom I've been looking for a long, long time because I really appreciate his analysis of things, and also I appreciate how Minister Motsoaledi always has a tendency of saying, let me take you back. He has a tendency of doing that. And I love knowing how things started and a bit of history. And today we managed to get hold of Minister Dr. Pakishe Aaron Motsoaledi. How are you, sir?
I'm okay, David, and how are you?
I'm great, thank you. I'm glad you made time, because your schedule is busy.
Thank you very much. It's important that I make time to make people understand. And so I thank you very much for inviting me to your studio so that you give me a chance to clarify people. And I'm happy that you kept this promise, which is an invitation you made on Tuesday.
Yes.
When you were interviewing me in Radio 2000, that you'll call me. I never thought it's going to be so soon. So I'm very grateful of that.
Thank you very much. Yours is an interesting one because you've done this thing before. It's not your first time as a Minister of Health. So I would like to, unlike interviewing a minister that's been in office for 4 months, I doubt their grasp of the entire system. But with you, you have institutional memory of this sector. What are our problems? What is at the core of the challenges of the South African health sector?
The core of the South African health sector is that we are running a two-tier system. We are running two systems of healthcare. One for those who are well-to-do, and the other for the poor. And they are not equal, but they operate within the borders of the same country. Now, there are people who want to believe they are equal, or the government is refusing to make them equal or is incompetent to make them equal. It's not true. One is very heavily funded.
That's the private healthcare.
Yes, but it provides for very few people. The other is deprived of funding all the time. It's deeply disinvested, But it's supposed to be for the biggest part of the population. We even know the figures. This one, which you call public health care, is catering for 86% of the population. The majority, overwhelming majority of which are black. The other, which is provided for only 14% of the population, the overwhelming majority of which are white, is very highly funded. People like to believe, this private healthcare is private. It's my private money. It's money from my pocket. Why don't you leave me alone and don't make noise about me? Fix what is there in public healthcare and don't trouble me. I had people telling me, look, I pay tax. Tax takes my tax money. Go and help the poor and leave me alone to do whatever I want. Now, that's where the problem is, because it is not true. It's not true. The state subsidizes this private healthcare very heavily.
How?
They invest heavily while disinvesting in public healthcare. Yes.
How do they do that?
Yeah, in two ways. Maybe I'll add the third one.
Okay.
But the main ones are two. I'll add the third one, which came maybe by default or so, or just developed into it, which was not planned.
Okay.
The others are planned and legislated.
Okay.
Firstly, everybody who's working for the state and at a particular level and joins a medical scheme get a subsidy to be in that medical scheme.
I'm a teacher. I'm a principal. I work for government.
Yes.
I have bonitas.
Yes.
Are you saying government pays part of government's money
Precisely.
to my bonitas?
Precisely. To your salary.
Yes,
So
but my
that you
salary
pay
goes
bonita.
to yes.
Precisely. It's for all of us. It starts with the president, ministers, members of parliament, judges, magistrates, all teachers, all nurses, police, clerks, CEOs of parastatals. All of them are on medical aids and they work for the state. And in their salary, there is a subsidy to be on that medical aid.
Do you have a sense of how much it is? Give or take.
70 billion.
Whoa. A year or?
A year.
What percentage of your salary, for example?
It's 70 billion. Well, it differs from person to person. It depends how many children you have got.
Of course.
It depends how much is your salary, how much you earn and all that. So it differs. I won't be able to tell that. But the total is 70 billion. That's the first way of that subsidy. The second one accrues to anybody who has a medical aid, regardless of who he's working for. Even you, David, you don't work for the state, but if you happen to have a medical aid, you are going to be subsidizing that. It's called tax rebates.
Okay.
Where SARS brings part of your money that you spent on healthcare, on your private healthcare, it brings you back to you in the form of tax rebates. At the moment, it is 33 billion rand.
Pause one second.
So you have got more than 100 billion going out from the public purse to support whoever is able to afford the medical aid scheme. You may then ask me what's wrong with that before posting it, because I don't want to listen.
No, don't you?
What's wrong with that? Let me give you in a form of an example why it is so wrong. Last week, doctors marched and they insulted me. They hate me at the moment.
Yeah, they say you don't give them jobs.
Yeah, that I'm not giving them jobs and all that. We were not able to give them jobs because of austerity. There have been severe budget cuts in the country, as you know. And the health was not spared. I'm talking about public health. It was not spared. A huge amount of money was cut from it to an extent where we are unable to do everything, including the hiring of doctors. And that's why they are so angry. And I accept that, but I'm on the firing line. But I'm not the one who brings money to health.
We'll talk about it in detail.
So the same week, David, that doctors are marching and I'm saying there's no money to pay you. The same week, I'm sitting in a meeting called Mandating Committee. This is a meeting of ministers who have been selected to give a mandate to the Treasury and the Minister of Public Service and Administration about salary negotiations, about salary increments. By how much do you increase for the public servants? Yes. Now, in the meeting, one of the main considerations, apart from the major salary, housing allowance, etc., is medical scheme subsidy.
Are you saying in that conversation, you're basically saying, as a Minister of Health, I recommend that you should pay my employees so much?
Well,
is that
not mine? The whole public servant who are together.
Okay, but you are bringing your own case as a Minister of Health. Am I understanding that correctly?
No, we don't run it like that. We run it for the whole public
as a
service.
collective.
I can't say doctors only. It's a collective. If you say we increase for public servant by 10, it's for every public servant.
100%.
Of course, for members of parliament, even though they've got medical in their subsidized, it's a different system of how to increase, yes. Now, let me tell you what happened there. We are talking about various aspects of this increase. One of them is medical subsidy. Now, we are not discussing whether it must be increased or not. We're talking by how much.
Oh.
Yes, not whether we should, because there's no money, there's austerity. We can't sit there and say, look, there's no austerity, we did not even have money to pay doctors, so we can't have money for this increase. No, that's not allowed because it's statutory. It's in the law. So we have to decide by how much. And you know why? How my heart bled? Because the proposal on the table, as I'm speaking, is that it must be MPI plus a particular percentage. Because it's negotiations, I can't disclose,
no,
I'm not allowed.
But in essence, you're saying
medical, it's... Remember
inflation plus.
No, that's exactly where my problem is.
Okay.
If it was inflation plus, I wouldn't be crying the way I'm crying. I wouldn't be making noise.
Oh.
Yeah. Inflation plus is when you do other salary increases. Inflation is 4.5%. But this one is MPI plus. MPI is medical price inflation.
Gotcha, which is different.
Which is different and generally regarded as higher than ordinary inflation. Much higher in some instances. For instance, this year, State South Africa project that medical price inflation is going to be 9.5%.
Wow. When
ordinary inflation is...
give or take 6.
No, it's 4.5 at the moment.
Yeah.
So State South Africa says it's going to be 9.5. PwC, PricewaterhouseCoopers, as a private company, their estimation is 7.2. Whichever one you take is much higher than...
inflation.
It's much higher than the ordinary inflation, which you and me know. That's the increase that's going to be there. Now, we are doing it at the same time that we told doctors, no, we don't have money to pay you, but we have got money because it's statutory. We are forced by law to pay for those who are already employed, subsidy, including doctors. So among the doctors, we are telling those who are employed, look, we are forced to increase for a subsidy for medical aid. When you are not yet employed, Mrena, sorry, we have got nothing for you. Stay unemployed. I can't.
But the statute doesn't say doesn't recommend percentage. That's still a decision that...
It doesn't recommend percentage, but the statute say you must...
increase.
No, it says you must subsidize.
Yes.
So they come and tell you, look, medical aids have just increased their premiums. GEMS by 13%, the others averagely by 10%. So this salary you are giving me, this subsidy you are giving me won't fit that. So please pay more. Medical price inflation plus something. That will be the demand. Now, what do I want? I want this because they say it's statutory that we increase for this one. For that one, we don't have... It's not statutory that we employ him, so we don't have money. I want a situation where this thing becomes statutory for all South Africans, that they must be helped. It must be a statutory thing to help all South Africans.
How does that look like? What type of statute is that? Are we now talking broadly about universal health cover?
Yes, it's NHI.
Yeah.
It's going to be a statute that make it obligatory for the state to help everybody, and not to say this one, the statute say I must increase. This one, the statute say zero. There's nothing. They must just go back. That's exactly what the difference between NHI and the present system is.
Give me a brief history of how this subsidy came to be. Because clearly it's historic. It sounds like you found it there as an ANC government in 1994.
Of course. Well, look, when did private healthcare start? I might be too young, even in my age, to remember because it started long ago. But my memory tells me that the first discussions and policies about bringing medical aids in the country is in 1967. And the first time that the issue of private hospitals were muted is after the 1976 uprising. Or it's 1976. I don't know whether it was the uprising, but I suspect the whites said, look, blacks are rising up. They are going to take over everything. Let's pay our health care. Let's put a private one here that will be for whites and will protect it. That's my suspicion, but it's 1976. Before that, there were public hospitals. Of course, they were divided into black and white. And the white ones were very, very highly equipped. Good buildings, equipment in both human resources and equipment, medicines and all that. Of course, the black ones, as historically everything that was black were different. But now they are saying we are starting a system of medical aids. And in the system, they went on to say those who work for the states, we must subsidize them to encourage them to join that system because they are working for government. But the general public, anybody who has got money, just underline that, anybody who has got money and has got an ability to join a medical aid scheme, we give them tax rebates as an incentive to join the medical scheme. In other words, the subsidy and the tax rebates encourages people to go that way of medical aid scheme. And the theory, which clearly was wrong, the thinking which clearly was wrong, was that if they do so, when they get sick, the state doesn't have to cater for them. They will go to buy their health elsewhere in private because we have given them. Yeah, it's more or less, David, it's more or less what you read in the Bible about the prodigal son who went to his father and said, look, give me whatever is mine from your wealth. I'll go away.
And look after my life.
And look after my life. I'll look after myself. You'll take care of the other kids who won't have anything because I've got something. And he went away. And he came back with nothing.
Yes.
And the father had to take care of him.
The prodigal son returns.
Yeah, why am I giving this analogy? Because people who are on medical aid, highly subsidized rebates, some of them, their benefit end in June, as early as June. Before it was in November, then October, but as early as June. I had somebody saying even in April, your benefits are finished. When they are finished, they say, go back to the public health care. So where you have been giving money to go away, now the money is finished, you come back. Which money are you going to spend? Because it's not there.
When you say June, April, you're essentially saying the money in the kitty, in your medical kitty, as a medical aid payer, it finishes.
Yes.
At an earlier stage.
Yes.
But you're still living. Naturally, you'll fall sick again if that happens.
Yes. Look, there's a medical scheme for only two groups of people. Members of parliament. In National Assembly and in all the provinces, plus judges. It's called PARMED. That medical scheme is not supposed to exist. It's extremely expensive. It's one of the most expensive medical schemes. Well, you know, the most expensive in the private medical scheme sector is what you call,
which one is
Discovery. Yes. So this one is PARMED for these groups of people. It's very expensive.
Yeah.
But I remember there was one October when I ran out of benefits completely, which means October, November, December, 3 months, you pay for your pocket. But you have been given a heavy subsidy and rebates, and you are paying also from your own pocket. But they say that money is finished. And when it gets finished, they say, no, go back to the public. They must take care of you. But during austerity, they say, no, we can't give money to the public. We give to you because it's statutory. I wonder whether you understand what I mean.
No, 100%.
So I had to tell an unemployed doctor, no, please, there's no money for you. But
there's double care for you on this side.
For this one who is employed already, there's double care or triple care or whatever. I can't fathom that type of a system. It's wrong.
Yeah.
Yes. And who does it cover? I told you in the general population, it's 14% of the population. And 86 is not covered, right? Now, when you look at that 14% of the population, and you look at the population groups, only 10% of the black population are on these medical aids, getting these rebates and subsidies. It covers only 10% of the black population. 90% is out in the public healthcare system where they will say where we'll tell them there's austerity. In the white population, it covers 72% of the population. Only 28% of whites are not covered. But then, as a minister of health, I'm a minister for everybody. I'm worried about this 90% in the black population and this 28% in the white population who are not covered, who are affected by this austerity.
How did private healthcare get so expensive? Because surely at some point it must have been affordable.
Yeah, well, to an extent, there are two things that happened. The first one, if I take you backward, happened in 1998, which was called market concentration. Because in the let me speak about private hospitals. There were two groups. There were independent and those who belong to particular huge companies. And the companies were three. It's Netcare, it's Mediclinic, and Life Health.
Okay.
Yeah, the big three. Then the others were independent and small. Some of them were just daycare hospitals and all that. In 1998, market concentration happened, meaning acquisitions. In business, when you say you are concentrating the market, you acquire, you absorb, you merge, acquisitions and mergers. That period took 10 years. When that period started, the independent were having 50% of the beds in the private healthcare sector, and the big three were having the other 50%. Gotcha. But after these mergers, after 10 years, in 2006, the independents were wiped out. They were left with only 10% of the beds. 90% went to the big three, which means what? They are powerful. They call the shots. They call the prices. Whichever price they want. Where will you go? If you want to go private healthcare, they are the only ones. Some of the smaller hospitals, they even bought them to close them down. Wow. To say, look, you are running a very cheap hospital next to me. No. Yeah, you're going to destroy my business model. Let me buy you. I buy you, then I close and remain with only the expensive one. That's basically what happened. The second thing that happened, unfortunately, was inadvertently done by the Competition Commission out of misunderstanding. You see, during that time, there was a statutory structure called REMS, Registered Medical Scheme Administrators, who were doing two things. One, if a doctor wants to go into private practice, they give them a practice number if they qualify, after checking their qualifications and all that.
Isn't that handled by a different body? A body that was once run by the Coastal Club?
Health Professions Council. Yes. That one gives you an MP number, not a practice number. It gives you a registration, yes, as a doctor. Okay. It recognizes that you are a doctor after you qualify from medical scheme. You medical come and school, give medical school. So you give them your license, your certificate. And they say, oh, so you are a doctor. Look. And they say you are qualified. Then they give you a registration card and an MP number.
It's a license
to show
to practice.
That you are now a recognized doctor, because there are some who practice medicine unrecognized.
Of course. Yeah.
But if you want to go into private practice and you want to charge on medical aid, let me that distinction. You have got to have a practice number. That one is called a PR number. Okay. Which you must code when you claim on medical. If you don't get that number, you may still practice because the Health Professions Council gave you an MP number, they recognize you. But you can't charge on medical schemes.
100%.
That's what was happening.
Yeah.
But there was another function of REMS. It was, there's a misnomer that private healthcare is homogeneous. It's one homogeneous group of people called private healthcare. It's not true.
It works the same for everyone.
It's formed of different units, some of which contradict each other in their interest. So for instance, there are medical aids who you pay your money to. And they say when you are sick, we'll pay for you. Except that in white letters, they say, don't dare get sick. Don't dare get sick. We'll pay for you, but don't dare get sick. And that's written in white letters. Yeah, but anyway.
So in the letters that I can't see on the paper.
Yeah, you can't see on the paper, but that's not what I wanted to go to. Yes. Where I wanted to go to is medical schemes wouldn't like a doctor to charge more. They wouldn't like a private hospital to charge more. They would like to be charged more for a Caesar or for being in theater, for whatever, or for brain surgery. They don't want. But the surgeon who's doing that and the private health hospital, they would like to charge more. So you can see the interests are different. So REMS will bring them together, bring the owners of private hospitals, bring the GPs, bring the specialists, bring the medical aids around the negotiating table where they'll negotiate prices. Of course, they'll start from extremes, but somewhere reach the middle ground. And as a GP, because I was practicing as a GP, I remember, once they've decided on those negotiations, they send you a page. There was a file in which you keep the prices, starting from a price of Panado, right up to a price of brain surgery.
Finer price.
Finer details. Panado for this bottle from this company will charge this much. A cough mixture, antibiotics, brain surgery. They will do all those things.
Does it include manufacturers? As in manufacturers of the medical products?
Pharmaceuticals, yes, of course.
Yeah.
They will also be there, the negotiating table. Yes, but unfortunately, the Competition Commission misread it. Remember, they don't want collusion.
It sounds like collusion from a distance.
It's not.
Yeah.
It definitely not. It's more or less like employees and employer coming together to negotiate on salaries. When they agree, it's not collusion. They are not agreeing on the same thing. They've got
one
different.
Wants more money, one wants to pay less money.
One wants to pay less, but eventually, after negotiation, they reach a middle ground. You can't say that's collusion.
Okay,
it's negotiation.
Got it.
Yes. Now that's what was negotiation in medicine. But then, unfortunately, the Competition Commission misread it and said no, that's collusion. And they said, let every patient go to negotiate with their own doctor as individuals, which is impossible. Yes.
They possibly could not have said that. Because when I sit in front of you as Dr. Motsoaledi, go Mamelodi, go your practice, I can't sit down with you and talk about price.
Unfortunately, they did. Because when they say go and speak to your own doctor alone, they mean negotiate the price because there's no central price structure. Now,
and I don't know how much the price of health should be as a consumer.
Exactly. So obviously, anybody then who's powerful will charge whatever, and has got the services will charge whatever they want. By 2010, the prices were already crazy.
And in that environment, I want to go back for 1 second to that environment where you and I'm a patient and a doctor. Already our relationship is not balanced.
It's completely unequal. Even between two doctors, if one is a patient. It will be unequal, but if I go to a neurosurgeon now, I'm a doctor, and he says, I've examined you, Mrena. You have got a tumor growing in your head. It's still the size of a pin. I saw it on magnetic resonance imaging. We need to remove it. I want 500,000 rand.
Boy. You can't say let's negotiate on the price.
Negotiating, or you can't say no, because where do you go to? It's not like a pair of shoes where you say, hi, to hell, I'll go to the next shop. You can't. And you don't even know the extent to which.
Jeez.
Yeah, so even if as a doctor I may feel that I'm being cheated, I'll say, but for my life.
It's fine.
For my life, let me pay. Let him take the money as long as I'm alive. And that's where cheating starts. So now, by 2010, it was already reached a crescendo. As a minister, I started in 2009, remember. So I was worried about that situation. I go to the Competition Commission. I said, look, guys, I don't think the decision you have taken is in the best interest of the public, the sick public, looking for healthcare. This is working against them because now healthcare is unaffordable. Of course, they didn't believe me. They said, do you have scientific evidence which you can put on the table? Which I didn't have.
Jeez.
And they said, so you're talking anecdotes.
You're just observing. This is your own personal observation.
Your own personal observation. But I kept on pestering them. And because of that pestering, they said, okay, let's put your claim to a test. They appointed a public market inquiry, which was then chaired by an eminent jurist, former Chief Justice Ngobo. He had already retired.
Okay.
They got him with 4 other experts, some of them academic from the business and academic sector and health sector. They put them together. They conducted that public market inquiry. It took 6 full years.
Whoa.
And they had experts, even from overseas, even from the World Health Organization in Geneva itself, who came in. They also got local people, even from the private sector, the very same players in the private sector, in the private hospital groups, medical aids.
Those that are
doctors
charging high prices.
Yeah, they came in
Yeah.
to put their story so that Justice Ngobo could weigh, and the commission, could weigh exactly who's telling the truth and who's that. And then they came with recommendations, which unfortunately happened in September 2019. I was already gone
On
from
the
health.
yes, you were now in home affairs.
So home
Yes.
health there. Those who are left in health or those who are in health had to implement them. Just after working on them as they wanted to start, because when you implement some of these things, you also get inputs from the public, etc. COVID struck.
Yes.
And everything stopped. There was no chance of somebody say, hey, market inquiry say this. During COVID,
We were dealing with other issues.
We remember almost everything stopped. You know, even tourism stopped, businesses stopped, some companies closed down.
If anything, healthcare, that's when it got busier.
It got busier in one direction.
100%.
In treating people who have got COVID. We even forgot those who were HIV positive,
And
TB. Immunization, yes, we put them on a back burner and concentrated on this one, which was bad. So COVID was very bad. So they couldn't implement this market inquiry.
Do you remember some of the basic elements of the recommendation?
Yes. And in a few days or weeks, let me say weeks, I'm going to be calling a public, a press conference, David, to announce the way forward on these recommendations. But because they are already out there in the public, one great recommendation is that private healthcare has to be regulated. You can't have people just calling prices willy-nilly at random. There must be a regulatory body. That coincides now. That recommendation was made before NHI came into law. But it coincides with NHI, which says there must be a pricing committee. Yes, that's one of the things. Now, the issue of medical aids, that we must also look into them and the administration. Remember, NHI say we must have a fund for everybody. Not 71 medical schemes that have got different benefits. Remember, the medical schemes that are there now are 71.
Sure.
But they've got 311 different options, which must be administered differently. You must choose from one of those options. That's very complex. That increases expenses also. And the Competition Commission says, the market inquiry says, no, look into that. So there are many other recommendations, but I'm just mentioning those main ones that this situation needs to be regulated. You can't have prices that are running away from the population.
How far away are they? How expensive is it to be sick in South Africa?
It's very expensive. Very expensive. It's not out of question. People pay millions.
Sure.
By the way, when I go around addressing people about NHI, I remember addressing religious leaders in Polokwane. And when I finished addressing them, one of them came to me with an invoice and say, I can't remember whether it was him or a relative in hospital. And they wanted 1.3 million. And he said, I'm a minister of religion, minister. Where am I going to get that money from?
I don't have it.
Yes, another one stood up and said, no, my child has got a brain tumor. They say they want R500,000 rand deposit before they can even start the operation.
Wow.
I know of a man recently who died because he was bleeding in the stomach and rushed to a private hospital. And they said, well, they have to operate him, but they want 250,000 rand deposit. Because he was not on medical aid, relatives have to run around looking for 250,000 rand deposit. And they said, unless that deposit is paid, you can't start the operation. The man died on the table while the relatives were running around looking for that money. So it is expensive, very expensive.
Regulating price, in practice, how does that look like? And I use this example. This question I asked in relation to the 250,000 that you're talking about. How does one department regulate the pricing of medical care? Because it surely requires a body of people also.
We are already regulating the prices of some medicines.
Okay.
Because the law allows it. But for services, when you go to a private doctor and they say you have got a brain tumor or what, we are not regulating that.
Okay.
That's what the market inquiry say. You must start regulating it. And when you are asking me how, we want to check, how did you arrive at 250,000? How do you arrive at 1.3 million? What were you charging this person? And one of the biggest problems is this. With in NHI, we are not going to accept. If you sleep in a private hospital, they put a drip in you. When they take that needle, it's a charge.
Of course.
Just like you are in a supermarket.
The drip cost money. The needle cost money.
Yes.
Yes. Even that wooden little stick that you put in my mouth to check costs money.
Exactly.
Yes.
But if the needle doesn't go in, the person who's putting it fails to get the vein or doesn't have the skill and throw it away and take another needle, you still get charged.
Twice.
Thrice. 5 times for a cotton wool. In other words, you are charged for things you are not in control of. In a supermarket, you are in control. You pick up this thing, you can put it back and say, no, this I'm not taking. I don't have enough money. You pick up that and say, this is too expensive. There you don't have control.
Yeah.
You might be in theater, they are operating on you as to how many swabs they are going to use. You have got no control. Or how many hours. If they say they charge you the oxygen consumption per hour, you don't have. So the best thing is when you regulate, is to say, if you are going to do a Caesar on me, there must be a ballpark figure. This Caesar will cost 10,000 rand finito. As to how many swabs we use, how many needles go in, how many what, it shouldn't be my business. Or how many hours I spend there, because I'm not in control of those hours. I can't decrease them. I'm under anesthesia. Yes. So that's how you control. There was a time I remember with the Department of Health tried to control these prices. And they said, please, in those of you who own private hospitals, give us input how you come to the charges that you are levying. One of the things which surprised me when I was told about it is that they charge you even for the building. Yes. They will say, we have put up this private hospital, and it needs to have been paid for. So when we charge you, we are going to factor the fact that we build this for 10 million rand. And that 10 million rand must come from you as the patient. Maybe that might be fair. What made me very angry is when I was told that if they build a hospital for 10 million rand 20 years ago, now the hospital costs 50 million, no longer 10. If you were to sell it.
You're still paying for the 50.
Yeah, you pay for the cost of what it costs now.
For the value.
For the value. Exactly. You helped me. You pay for the market value of what it costs now. He spent 10 million rand to build it. But now if you have to sell it, because as you know...
it's market value.
Yeah, market value...
It increases with time.
It increases with time.
Yeah.
They say you pay for that. Now that's grossly unfair. That's grossly unfair.
Wow.
It's what is called uncontrolled commercialism of healthcare. It can't be allowed. So in the market inquiry, they say regulate. In NHI, we say a pricing committee that is going to look at this and confront.
Sounds like it achieves the same objective. Both of them.
Yes.
One says regulate, one says pricing committee. The objective is the same.
Absolutely.
Let's bring the two elements together, because I see we're spending a considerable amount of time on private healthcare. Is private healthcare taking resources from public healthcare, like human resources, for example?
Of course it does, in a big way. In a big way. Because this is natural. Once you form a system for the rich and the poor, and one system has a lot of money and you throw all the money there, you invest in it and disinvest in the other. Human beings who have got skill will go to the one which has got a lot of money. That's natural. So it does. Let me give you a living example. But today, I'm not going to give you the names because people will say, came to David to attack me, I need to respond.
I wish you would attack them here.
Yeah, there is a private hospital in the center of Johannesburg.
Okay.
Right here in Igoli.
Not far from where we are.
Yeah, not far from where we are.
Okay. I wonder which one is that. It's okay.
It has got 56 gynecologists.
Now I know which one it is.
Well, it has got 56 gynecologists. Yes. Now, that number of gynecologists is more than the total number of gynecologists in Mpumalanga, Limpopo,
the whole
and Northwest added together. 3 provinces added together. They can't raise the same number of gynecologists with that.
Wow.
So I'm answering your question. Does it take staff from? Yes,
public
does.
healthcare.
It does. Even nurses who are employed by the state. Yes. They sometimes go and do something called moonlighting, which I don't like, because moonlighting means you are working in the government during the day. During the night, instead of going to sleep and rest, which is natural and which you must do. No, you don't go and sleep and rest. You go and work in the private hospital. And then in the morning, you must go back to the public. Now, let me tell you what happens. In the private hospital, the people you are dealing with are well-to-do. They are rich. They know their rights. It's lawyers, it's doctors, it's CEOs, it's teachers, it's police and all that. So you are forced to smile and serve them very decently. In the morning, you are exhausted.
You've been smiling the whole night.
You've been smiling the whole night. You are exhausted. You must now go to work in the public and you are tired. The first moment you arrive there, you find a dirty old woman who is unemployed and has got nothing, maybe doesn't even have a home. And you suddenly lose your temper. You get very angry and you become a different person altogether.
And then we say they're not good to us.
Yes, of course. He's the same person, but I saw it when I was an MEC for education. A teacher teaching under a tree in a rural village of the poor. If you take him, and his route and all that, if you take him to work in town, in the former Model C schools or a private school, they change their behavior altogether.
Yeah.
So it does affect us.
Let's call a spade that the challenge is that they are probably not well paid. Let's talk about those gynecologists that are not found in Limpopo, Polokwane, and all of that, but they are found in one single private hospital. The move makes sense if I will get paid an extra 50,000 rands at that hospital. Shouldn't we then be improving the salaries of doctors? So we can keep
There's
them.
no amount of improving salaries anywhere in the world where you'll match the private sector or you match a richer country. Even within the public, countries are not paying the same. It depends on the economy. That one is a golden rule. That's why every year at the World Health Assembly, where all the ministers of health meet in May every year in Geneva, this issue was on the table of richer countries stealing doctors from poorer countries.
True.
Yes, because there's a movement in that direction. The only solution the World Health Organization came with was that rich countries, or developed countries rather, that's what they call them, not rich. They use the word developed, must not steal doctors from underdeveloped countries. They said so. But now a counterpart of the World Organization is the International Labour Organization, which also goes to Geneva at the Palace of Nations. There's a hall there called Palace of Nations.
What do they say when they get
They
there?
come and say every worker, including a doctor, has got the right to sell their labor power, and they must not be impeded by borders. Wherever they want to go, they must be allowed.
These are contradictory.
Of course,
objectives.
these are contradictory objectives by World Health Organization and by International Labour Organization.
Who's winning this debate?
Yes, it's not.
Clearly, somebody has to win the day. Who's
Well,
winning
at
this
the moment, those who are winning is the International Labour Organization. Doctors go anywhere where they think there's better pay. You have got a place like the Middle East, Saudi Arabia, for instance. They don't train any doctor or any nurse, but they've got huge oil money. You won't know about that because you are not in health, but you know about sports.
No, I know.
Yes.
No,
They've
interesting. I know about
They are
health
not a
as well,
soccer-loving country.
but they are even golf
Yeah, all the stars now,
are playing there.
all the world stars are playing there because there's a lot of money. Do you think a smaller country or a smaller club is going to compete with them? It's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's the same thing in health. You can't compete with salaries with those who are in private. It can't happen. So what does it mean? It means you can't adopt a system where you privatize most of the healthcare because it will be out of reach for ordinary people. That doesn't mean you ban private healthcare, but you can't make it the biggest means of providing healthcare for the population. No country is doing that, by the way, David. We even have graphs to show that.
Yeah.
We do have graphs to show. And in those graphs, there is something shameful about our country. When you look at those graphs, the proportion of public healthcare and private healthcare, the biggest proportion of private healthcare, of privatized healthcare, in other words, over-reliance on medical aids, is South Africa and the US.
Wow.
Yes. And the World Health Organization in 2009 have declared the two countries outliers. Outliers. They are lying out of the realms
of the norm.
Of the norm of other countries because they've got an over-reliance on private healthcare financing, which we call medical aid. Or, as they say, voluntary payment of health, voluntary prepayment of health.
Yeah.
We rely more on that more than many countries, and it's us and the US. And everybody knows the US system is extremely expensive. It's going to collapse very soon. Even Barack Obama.
With the Obama, what's it?
Obamacare, yes. Yeah, Obamacare was a nickname to ridicule it. Actually, it was affordable healthcare because Obama was trying to make healthcare affordable. It was the NHI of America, but they fought it just like our own NHI here at home is being fought.
I want to come via public health care to get to NHI. I want to talk about our ability or inability to look after South Africans. Do we have a shortage of funds inherently to look after South Africans that are sick?
Shortage of funds where, David?
In government. I'm talking public health care.
Yeah.
Is there enough?
I think the other day you interviewed Dr. Hosi Letlap.
I did.
He answered that question.
Let me hear your version of the question.
I don't have a different version. He said there's a lot of money in healthcare in South Africa, more than in many countries, which is true. It's not an anecdote. We know it by figures. The World Health Organization has recommended that countries spend at least 5% of their GDP on health, not budget. GDP, gross domestic product, the total wealth of the country.
True.
Spend 5% of that on health, then you are likely to have the resources you want, financial, medical, equipment, buildings, etc. That's the recommendation. Now South Africa has already exceeded that 5% by far. We are at 8.5%.
Okay.
Where is Europe? Where everybody's rushing to for their healthcare is at 9%. It's not very different from us.
Yes.
Yes, we are in the same WhatsApp group in terms of that.
Yeah.
Why then do our healthcare systems differ?
Help me understand that.
Yeah, people will say it's corruption, mismanagement, incompetence.
Simple answer. A simple statement is, where's the money?
Yes, I'm not going to deny those that happen. The question is exactly what you ask. Where is the money? How is this money? That's where the key is. And everybody is running away from that. Everybody who's attacking NHI is hiding this fact. This is how the money is divided. 51% of it goes to 14% of the population.
Private care?
Yes. And only 49% remaining goes to 86% of the population. Public care.
So when we count the entire 8%, we are not only talking private, public health care. We're talking all health care.
Healthcare expenditure. That's what the World Health Organization said. They didn't say public or private. They said in your healthcare system, your expenditure must be at least 5% of your GDP. It doesn't matter how you spend it, but it must be 5% of the GDP. Then, unfortunately, in South Africa, 51% of it is given to private, is in private healthcare rather. And it's in private healthcare and takes care of only 14% of the population. The remaining 49 is for 86% of the population. And now, who gets treated where? Let me start with pregnancy.
Okay.
1.2 million women fall pregnant every year. And that amount of money in private healthcare, which is so big, is treating only 140,000 of pregnant women in South Africa.
Wow, it's 10%, give or take.
Yes. And the remaining 1,060,000 must go to the public health, which has got only 49% of the money. That's where the problem is. Let's come to HIV/AIDS, the biggest killer in our country.
Does it still remain the biggest killer?
Yeah, it's there.
Because you introduced during your
We have
time.
tamed it.
Yes, during your time, you
Yes.
were quite active.
No, we've tamed it.
Yeah.
I can't call it the biggest killer now. It's not gone, but we have tamed it.
Okay.
Because, yes, we started in 2010.
That's it.
During my first year.
Yes.
We put the biggest HIV testing and counseling campaign in the world. It now has got 5.5 million people who are on ARVs, taken from this 49%.
Whoa.
Right?
Yeah.
From that 51%, the private sector, they are treating only 350,000 people. Ooh, with that huge amount of...
How much is the public sector?
5.5 million.
Million.
Yes.
And they are on the other side again?
350,000.
Whoa.
Only. So there can't be any cure, there can't be any running out of... There can't be any problem because we have got... It's like in a classroom, a teacher who has got 86 children and a teacher who is teaching only 14 children won't produce the same results. That's for sure. Especially that the teacher who is teaching 14 children is teaching 14 children who are stuffed with money, and the one who's teaching 86 children, who is 86 children who have got nothing. The results can be the same.
Of course not.
Yeah. So that is where the money is going to. Now, as I'm saying, people then come and argue and say, but this is private money. And I've already told you it's not as private as that.
It comes from a public purse.
It comes from a public purse in the form of subsidies. I've given you the numbers. 70 billion for people who are working for the state and 33 billion for tax rebates for anybody who's on medical aid. But the subsidy doesn't start there. When I started this conversation, I said 2 forms of subsidy. I will add the third one. What is the third one? We've got the public entity, the Public Investment Corporation.
PIC.
Yeah, PIC. Quite a number of private hospitals get PIC money to put world-class infrastructure and equipment. For 10 years, I've been knocking.
And PIC money is public money.
It's public money.
Yes.
Yes. I've been knocking and saying, no, we also want this public money to put up world-class public hospitals.
Are they saying
especially a teaching hospital? No, up to so far, we have not been successful. And I'm fighting because then you come and tell me, look how you look. Everything is falling apart. You don't have equipment. You don't have buildings. Look at the private hospitals. They are well equipped and all that. But they are stuffed with money. Because, David, there's been a perpetual disinvestment in public health and a huge investment in private health. When you interviewed Jose Litlape, he even put it in more clearer terms because he understands the history of it very well. Why one side? You know, public health and private health are like conjoined twins. We are in the same womb of the same mother because we are in the same country. We must get nutrition from the same mother. Now, if one twin starts sucking blood
from the other,
that twin who's sucking blood will grow very healthy, very bubbly, and very strong. The one from whom blood is being sucked will be emaciated and small and pale. Then you say, look at you, you're not growing, you are pale. You blame this one for not growing and not being like the other. But resources are being thrown there. The other time when you interviewed me on Radio 2000, I gave an example about education. These results which everybody is celebrating now, they did not come in, rolling in on the wheels of inevitability. There was a direct and deliberate effort to finance Bantu education schools. Remember before, there are people who are young not to know this. Before 1994, all the schools in rural villages were not built by the state. The villagers themselves have to build them. Unemployed villagers, some of them with SASSA money, of course it was before there was SASSA. Pension, old age pension money. Modern, but which was coming every 2 months. True. And was less than that which was for whites, but they have to build their own schools. Obviously they'll build a dilapidated mud school with no library, no laboratory, no sports ground.
Not even a toilet.
Not even a toilet for that matter. But in 1994, we said, no, we want one education system. And remember, in that system before 1994, 4 times was paid for a white child than for a black child, if you remember. That was abolished in 1994. We said 1 education system in the country, same curriculum. Yes, and same exam. No difference between black and white. That's what we said. And we started building up from there. We never said no, but you in Bantu education, you don't even have a toilet, you don't even go and have them first. Then we'll have one education system. In health, we are being told that. Go and improve infrastructure first. Go and get enough doctors. Go and get enough nurses. Go and get enough medicine. Then you can take NHI. They say go and get those, but the money will keep it this side. When I go and use whatever means to put up the buildings, hire more doctors, but the money will keep this side. How is that going to work?
Let's talk about the 49% of the money for a second, because I don't want us to undermine its size. It's substantial. And yes, I acknowledge everything you've said, that it's looking after a much bigger population size, this 49% of the money, their GDP, that 8%. I'm curious to know if it is used properly, that money. And this question ends up directly on your doorstep. It's asking you that question.
There are instances where it's not used properly. There are instances. It does happen. I'm not going to deny that.
Yeah.
And part of the reason is exactly what I said. Because to be used properly, you do also need skills. And I told you, people with good skills go to the site where there's money. That doesn't mean doctors only. Auditors, managers, health finance experts and all that, they'll all go where there's money and it will be managed very well. It does not mean there is no corruption there. There is.
Of course.
There is. And we even know it in figures. But here in public health care, yes, there are times when things are not managed very well because you lack the proper managers, because good managers have followed the money. So it does happen. But let me give you an example about this huge amount of money which was spending for HIV and AIDS. When we started, it was 3.5 billion. It is now 40 billion.
Whoa.
And we have never had any problems. 80% of it comes from our own fiscus. The other 20% come from international funders like PEPFAR, the American funder, the Global Fund in Geneva, etc. So it is managed very well. And so there are areas where we're doing we have never had any problem. But you remember during COVID, the money that was there, there was a disaster
in
the PPE. So that's why I'm saying there are areas that are managed very well and there are areas that are not managed very well. But in NHI, we want to put a board that will manage this money. And I promise you, we are going to put very prominent South Africans. We are not just going to put a person there because he's connected to well known. We are going to look for people with skills. Yeah. And those who believe...
And pay them well.
Yeah. Now, you see, that's where the problem is. Because if you keep on saying pay them well...
I have to ask, because you said
we'll
they're
pay them what
leave.
you can afford.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
Okay.
Yes. If you pay them well, meaning private sector cost.
Okay.
And
so
David, the public sector tried to take that hint of pay them well. There are instances where it even pays more than the private sector in our country, which is wrong and causing a lot of unemployment for other people because you can't compete with the private sector.
Yeah.
That's why in many countries where in healthcare it becomes so small. Private sector elsewhere, I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah.
But in healthcare, because healthcare is a right, so the private healthcare can't be banned from healthcare, but it can be the major mode of delivery of healthcare to the population, which is what is the case now in terms of money. Is the major mode of delivery. It's unsustainable. As I said, as the Americans, we as South Africa and them, we've been declared outliers. Do you know how much percentage of the GDP is an expenditure of health in the US? It's 22%.
Whoa.
US is spending 22% of its GDP on health. I told you in Europe, it's an average of 9%.
Yes.
Now, I want to give you an example with BRICS. I heard Dr. Khosile Tlhapane say we have got a lot of money, but we're getting nothing for it. I'm now putting to you in figures because he just told you the statement. Now, I want to expand on that statement with figures. Within BRICS, within the BRICS countries. The original
the extended
BRICS.
Okay.
No,
the original
the original BRICS, which was
Brazil, you say India,
Russia,
yes.
India,
South Africa. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
These are the figures in terms of expenditure in healthcare. The highest is Brazil.
You're gonna
The
show
highest, this is the graphs I was talking about. This is America and South Africa. You see how it differs from others. Yes.
In this size,
yes, this rate,
side is South Africa and America.
Yeah, this rate is medical aid. Do you see how little these countries have got on medical aid?
I see that.
This red color. But look at South Africa and America.
Wow.
Right? This blue is what
public healthcare.
Is what I'll call NHI.
Yes, okay.
It's what I'll call NHI. Do you see how big is it in other countries? And in ours, it's only...
What?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So this is what we want to change. Yes. Now, yeah. No.
And
this is the 51% and 14% that was
population size.
And that 8.5% of GDP is what? 570 billion. It's more than R500 billion. Not many countries have got this amount of money.
Even to look after the whole country.
Yes, even to look after the whole country. Absolutely. Now, here is the BRICS.
Yes.
Yeah. As you can see, this is Brazil.
It's 9.89% of its total GDP, yes.
Yes, on health. Followed by South Africa. 8.5%. Followed by Russia, which is a bigger economy than us.
Much bigger.
But they are still at 7.6%. Followed by China, the second biggest economy in the world, which is still at 6.8%. So we have far exceeded China in terms of expenditure. Yeah. Do you know how much money China has got? Yes, we have exceeded.
They could buy us 100 times.
They could buy us 100 million times, actually. Yes. And here is India. It's red because they've not even reached the 5% recommendation of WHO. So what's wrong with that? That's what Dr. Letlap was talking about. The outcomes. We're getting nothing for it. This is life expectancy.
Life expectancy in Brazil, well, both. Let's look at both male and female.
Yes.
In Brazil, it's 676.7 years.
Yes.
And Russia, 74.5.
Yes.
India, 72.3.
Yes.
Where's China 77.
Yes.
And we are the lowest. He's right.
The lowest.
We 64.3.
Yes.
We pay more, but yet we get less.
Yeah, we are getting less. But this was after the big HIV counseling testing. Before that, it was 53%. Actually.
Whoa. So that's an improvement.
It's a market improvement after putting up the testing and training campaign, which was not dependent on medical aids, which was not dependent on the money in your pocket, which was just dependent on you being diagnosed HIV positive. That's why we achieved this. Now, that's how we achieve this life expectancy, but still low. Then you come to others like maternal mortality, under 5 mortality, child mortality.
We are red.
We're red. This rate is on South Africa, as you can see.
So
the other rates in other countries is for non-communicable disease because everybody in the world shares them.
So we have more, pregnant women dying or infants dying?
Yes.
According to that.
Yes.
Than any of our compatriots in
who are spending less than us. Because I've already told you, only 140,000 pregnant women are treated in the private sector, where there are all the facilities, all gynecologists, good equipment and all that. And 1,160,000 come to the public sector, which has got nothing.
But doesn't it ask us, that maybe we should be doing more? With the little that we have, doesn't it ask us that question? Because it's easy for us to say my twin is living well, is having a nice sandwich, and now I don't even have bread. It's easy to say that, but we have to then pause for a second and say, with the little that we have, what can we
absolutely do? Absolutely, you are 100% right, and I agree with you. We now had austerity, which means we are left with little. Can we do more with this little?
We have to do the best we can.
We have got to do the best we can. Yes. But here is a catch. Why do you tell only one sector and do more with little, and the other, no, they don't have to do that.
But I don't want to rush to that argument.
No, I'm not.
Because that argument exonerates you from
the
burden that you're carrying.
No. It's not.
It can't not exonerate. It removes you from.
No, it doesn't.
From blame.
It doesn't.
Yes.
It absolutely doesn't. We are already doing more with little, and I've told you, we are treating 5.5 million people with this little for HIV and AIDS. I forgot to add, we are treating TB. It kills 80% of all the HIV positive people in the country. In the area where there's money in the private sector, they don't treat a single TB patient. Not a single one. They'll never treat you. Because if you get multi-drug resistant TB, it needs 800,000 rand. There's no profit there.
So if you rock up at a private hospital with TB, what do they do?
They'll send you to a public hospital.
Wow.
They will. I saw it with my own eyes during Ebola. There was no Ebola in South Africa. It was in West Africa in 2013, if you remember. And killing and, destroying and all that. I did not know that there are so many South Africans running mines there in Sierra Leone, Guinea, and Liberia. I didn't know. I started to know.
When they were coming looking for healthcare?
Yeah, because there's no healthcare there.
What happened? What?
There's no healthcare.
Give me a
there.
scenario of that South African.
This graph shows it. Let me show you why. On this graph I've shown you, where we're an outlier. This is Africa. The World Organization.
Of course, we're an outlier there as well.
No, it's a disaster. Yeah, we're an outlier here. You see it.
Yeah.
But here you say on the African continent, it's a disaster in the making. Why? Because of the green color, meaning
green color means no
cash.
Healthcare.
It means cash. It means
cash.
you pay cash for healthcare. You pay from your pocket.
Wow.
And you won't get results. Look at Sierra Leone.
It's almost
90%.
All cash.
Yes. And that's why they could manage their healthcare. Even to diagnose Ebola, we had to, the National Institute of Communicable Disease, NICD, had to manufacture a mobile laboratory, put it in a ship, and ship it to Sierra Leone to help them diagnose.
So you were telling the story of those miners.
Yeah, so the people who own mines, who are running mines, mine owners.
Okay.
Because when you say miners, I think it's those who are digging. Yes, mine owners. Whenever they got sick because of this situation in Sierra Leone, they will immediately jump into a chartered flight and come home. Here. Yes, they are rich.
And so when they got here?
I shouldn't have known about them. Because when they got here, they must go to a private hospital, naturally, because they are rich. But we found them in public hospitals. And we asked them, why are you here? He said, no, I went to that private hospital. They took my temperature when it was high, and I told them I'm from West Africa, where there's Ebola. They said, no, please. No, please, we can't touch you.
Minister Motsoaledi must look after you.
Yes, Minister Motsoaledi must look after you in the public health sector. Making me a minister of public hospitals only. Or Minister of Public Health. I'm a Minister for Public Health and Private Health. Yeah. I must look at all of them together, and they must do the correct things.
Wow.
So that's the little we are doing.
That's what you're doing with the little you have.
With the little we have.
Yeah.
We are immunizing.
Okay.
There's not much immunization in private health care, and I've been speaking to them because we are doing primary health care. We are doing contraception. And I have asked them, what's wrong in medical aid paying for?
They don't pay for contraception.
No, they refused. Unless there is some who are agreeing, but I don't. Generally, when I was in health for the first time, they refuse. And I said, here is the joke about it. A woman, I don't know how much contraceptives are now. Let me just give a ballpark figure. A woman wants a packet of pills, contraceptive, for 60 rand. And it's on medical aid. The medical aid say, no, this one you go and buy on your own. I'm sorry. Even if your benefits are not finished, that I don't pay for.
Okay.
And she doesn't go to buy them. She falls pregnant, gets scared and do a backstreet abortion, gets severely infected. When they go to hospital, it's already ICU because he's very sick. And the medical aid start paying.
They could have paid 60 rand.
They could have paid 60 rand, but they're going to pay 100,000 to put this, or even more. And I've complained about that. That's why in the NHI Act, we're talking about primary health care, meaning what? Prevention of disease and promotion of health. That must be the mainstay of the healthcare system. Stop people from getting sick first. Don't say, I've got enough money and equipment and all the doctors get sick and come here, I'll fix you. Because there's no guarantee. So we are doing the best we have with the little we have, but all our saying, David, not run away from responsibility. We're saying the little we have must affect us all. If you say the country haven't collected enough money in the form of tax and we are austerity, you can't apply austerity on one side and on the other, you actually send more money like it's happening now. It can't be. So it's unfair.
And you're going back to the point that there's austerity with regards to money available to build a new hospital. However, there's money for subsidies for those that are getting subsidy from government to go to a private hospital.
Yes. Exactly.
I hate the fact that I understand this because it's a problem.
It's a problem, and
I wish it confused me so I wouldn't see it.
So you see it, yes. And you see why I'm jumping around, and you see why I'm disagreeing with DA, because they are making me an enemy. And you know what?
Do you know in today's headlines they're talking about you? They're saying you're fixated.
Yeah.
They're saying why are you harboring on this thing?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. What they are not saying is why are they opposing it so vehemently? And I've given you some of the figures.
No, you have.
It's because 72% of their white constituencies are on medical aid. Only 28% are not. But in the black constituency, only 10% are covered and 90% are not. And I'm fighting for that 90%. And they don't see a need for that. They say I'm fixated, they call me all names, but I'm putting facts and figures on the table. Let them challenge the facts.
We'll get to that in a little bit, because I managed to draw parts of the argument they're putting together. But before we get there, how much have we done to improve healthcare, at least in the past 15 years? It's easy to throw the number 30 years, but I'd rather zoom in quickly to a time frame that's fairly recent. What have we achieved? Have we built brand new hospitals? What have we done with the 49% money that we have?
Okay, let me start here. In 2014, we're celebrating 20 years of democracy. We had to produce a booklet that,
that showcases
what happened during these 40 years of democracy. We wrote in that book that 40% of all the clinics that exist in South Africa were built in that 20 years of democracy. The remaining 60% were built backwards until the time Jan van Riebeeck arrived. So we even knew the numbers. It was 1,500 clinics.
That's 10 years ago, give or take.
Yes, give or take.
That was that milestone.
And 800 clinics were built in the first 5 years of democracy.
Okay.
That's what we could achieve. But as this investment in public health care happened, that started going down. If you understand what I mean.
I hear.
We started by investing. I remember there was a huge amount of money which was invested in healthcare at that time.
Coming from tax?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
That's how
I'm trying to clarify.
That's why these 800 clinics were built within 5 years, and then 1,500 in that 20 years. And of course, there were so there are clinics, they were built where there were no clinics before, because we were concentrated on primary health care. And of course, there were new hospitals built, but I don't have the figure here because I didn't know you were going to ask me that question. I can send it to you.
Please.
Yes. Yes.
But in the last 10 years, because it's easy to throw 20 years ago. It's easy to throw 10 years ago. But you and I
in the last 10 years, you mean 2015?
Between 2015 and now.
And now.
Yes.
I'll go and check.
But give me a sense of is there a lot of activity? You're saying there's a huge disinvestment in that
there is
sector.
a lot of activity. For instance, even now when you are complaining about shortage of doctors, around about 2010, we're producing 1,200 doctors.
I don't think we have a problem of producing doctors, though. Or is that is that number low according to you?
Which one?
the number of doctors South Africa produces every year?
I'm saying it was 1,200. It was very low.
Okay. Per
Yes.
year?
Yes, per year.
Okay.
Now it has gone to more than 2,800 because we ratcheted production.
True. But there's
Yes,
not enough work for them.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Because of, it's a double whammy.
Mm-hmm.
One side, you don't have enough money to produce more, but even those who have produced, you don't have money to employ them. But you say there's a lot of money in healthcare. That's why I want this equity. Yes. And people ask me, will NHI give you money to employ these doctors and solve all the problems? It will go a long way because NHI is not just a South African concept. Yes. It's universal health coverage. Who came up with the concept is the World Health Organization. After observing what is happening around the whole world, these discrepancies, in 1998, they even have a conference in a small town of Alma-Ata in the former Soviet Union, where 164 countries attended. And they said the gross inequalities in the health status of people between developed and developing countries and even within countries is politically, socially, and economically unacceptable and is of common concern, meaning there's gross inequality. Now, in order to bring equity, they propose universal health coverage, which means what? Which means everybody, every human being on this planet must be entitled to good quality health care. And in getting that good quality health care, they must not suffer financial hardships. Now, people who oppose NHI, they say, no, we subscribe to universal health coverage. But the part they subscribe to is that everybody get good quality health care. Everybody agrees. But when it comes to the money, they say, the country doesn't have money for everybody. It only have money for a selected few. Now, I can't accept that because it's wrong.
What is the debate at Motsoaledi? What is the and I guess you are answering it before I even ask. What is the debate from those that don't agree with the national health insurance?
Is it not possible that you ask them? But
well, but
they say,
but you meet them in courts,
yeah,
and you have to know at least what they're saying.
Well, they say they accept universal health coverage,
But
and they put the big but. They are unable to say they don't accept universal health coverage because, apart from the fact that the concept was developed by World Organization, the United Nations accepted it in the General Assembly. And all countries, there's not a single country that opposed that we need universal health coverage. So they can't, apart from United Nations having accepted it, it is part of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, which countries must reach by 2030. I'm sure you know them. The SDGs.
Yes.
This one is SDG number 3.
There's everything in there, poverty and
poverty and all that.
Yes,
this one of universal health coverage is SDG number 3.8 in the United Nations. So they know that, so they can't say no. Then they resort to scandalizing this one, but this one in South Africa is not the universal health coverage that we expect.
Maybe you need to change the name.
This is not the one. This we can't support, is wrong and all that. And if you look at their arguments, as Dr. Letlabe told you that day, it's for those who said, no, make changes, but don't touch me. Don't make changes on me. Make them on the other side. And now, you said there were court cases.
Yeah, lots. You're dealing with a lot of court cases in this regard. Yeah, but there are some that are coming. I can guarantee you.
No, we've been waiting for them. We know.
Yes.
We know.
Yeah.
Even from the DA itself, I'm not sure why they are not coming. They threatened to go to court.
I get to know your cousins.
It's solidarity.
Yes.
Solidarity in their prayers. They say the whole NHI Act must be declared unconstitutional.
Yes.
Because it is unconstitutional according to them. Their second prayer is failing which, if the court doesn't agree that NHI is unconstitutional, they must look for sections that are unconstitutional and declare them invalid. I've never seen that in law. It's for the first time that a person goes to court and asks the court to be a litigant.
Yeah.
Yes. Anyway, but that's what they are putting in. The other case is from BHF, Board of Healthcare Funders, which is an association of medical schemes. They are attacking the president that when he assented to the NHI Act and signed for it into law, he did not follow certain procedures.
Yes.
That's what they are saying.
Including consultation.
Yeah, including consultation.
Yes.
He should have consulted. The third one is from the what you call?
It's South African Private Practice Forum.
Yeah. Do you know who they are?
Help me understand.
Who are medical specialists.
Okay.
Some medical specialists in the country. You know why they will complain?
Tell me.
Look at this. This is 2010. I'm going to show you 2022.
The total medical scheme spent on health, 84.7 billion.
The total amount of money collected from people on medical scheme was 84.7
billion. 2010.
That's 2010.
Yeah.
Look how the money is distributed. 30%, 30 billion, the percentages are wrong. Forget them, I'm giving you the, 30 billion was spent on private hospitals, 30 billion of this 84. And then?
Is it 281 million?
What?
No, it's the other number on public health care. It was 281 million.
Yes, only 281 million in public health care. I don't even count that. Look at, I want to show you the private sector only. Specialists, they got 19 billion.
Yeah.
These are pharmaceutical companies, which everybody believes they get all the money.
You buy medicine,
they get 14 billion.
Yeah.
These are GPs.
6.2 billion.
Yes.
This is 2010 statistics.
Yes. These are GPs, the people who are seeing patients every day, as me and you are talking here.
Yes.
But they are getting only 6 billion. Look at this. I heard Dr. Letlabek talking about it the other day.
Non-healthcare.
I suspect you didn't understand what
is
you're talking about.
Non-healthcare?
Exactly. That's what you were saying. People who don't touch a patient.
For example?
But they are around there. Insurance brokers, administrators.
Oh, yes. Okay. I remember that point.
Yes, you remember that point. I remember
that point. Yeah.
Look at the amount of money they were getting.
People who are administering the process between you, the sick person, and the doctor.
The doctor who does the treatment get only 6.2. You who facilitate and sign receipts and all that, yes,
11.6 billion.
Yes.
That's now, 2010 statistics.
Yes, 2010.
So surely they've gotten...
Fast forward 2022.
Yeah.
Look at the figures I gave you. Specialists, where are they?
There they are.
There they were getting...
I can tell you now because I'm looking at it clearly.
They were getting 19 billion.
Yeah.
Look where they are now.
59 billion. Go to specialists.
Yes. They are the ones in court.
GPs, it's 11 billion.
They just moved from...
It just doubled. Yeah.
Yeah, but look at the non-health. They moved from 11 billion to 18 billion.
Wow.
Now, these guys are in court.
The private
specialists.
Yeah.
Yes. To defend this money they are getting already. So under NHI, we are not going to allow the GPs to... They are doing primary health care. They see patients every day.
Finish your statement. Under NHI, you're not going to allow the GPs to?
No, we are not going to... The system that is here now, which was not there in the past, is that... let me give you an example of the legal system in order to orientate you. You don't just wake up and go to senior counsel. Because somebody stole your gold.
You need an attorney.
You don't just go to the High Court. You need an attorney who will then find the need to refer you to a senior counsel. You go to a magistrate court. If they think this case is big.
It's a high court issue.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That used to be like that in health. You go to a GP or a clinic or a small district
Isn't
hospital.
it the same still?
No.
I can go straight to a specialist.
Of course, yes. Haven't you done that? How?
No. I'm just checking. Because a specialist is the one that has to recommend you. I think that problem needs such and such a specialist.
Yeah, a GP.
A GP has to say, yes. I think that you need a...
That has been abolished in the advent of this private healthcare. It was like that, yes, when I was a medical student. It has been abolished.
You need an attorney to see a senior counsel. So not anymore.
Not anymore. You can go straight to a senior counsel in health. And that's what you want to reverse. Everybody must have a GP. You know, Dr. Letlabek was telling you about Britain. I listened very well to that podcast. He was talking about that everybody has got a GP.
Yeah.
That's what we are going to do. We are going to say, look, David and you members of the population, each one of you must tell us who a GP is. If you are sick, you have got to go to that GP. Don't come and complain to us and say the GP is far. You chose.
Okay.
We are not telling you where to choose from. Just say, tell us who has GP. If you are like me, you are staying in Polokwane, you choose a GP in Soweto. That's not our fault.
Surely I can change at some point. If I'm moving.
Of course, we can change any time. But
100%.
all I'm saying is the one who you put as your registered GP, you can't come and tell us no, but it's very far. If it's very far, change. But you must have your own GP. He's the one who will refer you. When you are sick, don't start by going to Bara as it's happening now. It's wrong. Even with a flu, the queues become very big and all that. Bara is a referral hospital, a specialist hospital. You must go there only when things are tough. Yes, but now...
I don't have options now. I'm in Soweto. I'm sick.
Yes.
I have nowhere else to go.
Yes, exactly. And that's one of the things that we want one of the remedies that we want to put. I showed a document to the president and the Minister of Health because we were meeting yesterday. A document on how we are going to correct that under NHI.
Without the document, I want you and I, at least for the next 5 minutes, do our very best to explain national health care practically.
It's exactly. National health care. It's
national health insurance, yes.
National
health coverage. Sorry, I used the wrong phrase, but that. Universal
national
health care.
It's universal health coverage.
That's what it
is. There's a difference.
Yes.
And I'm going to explain it.
That's why I say I want you in practical terms. Exactly the same example that you made about Bara.
Yeah.
I want you to look at a scenario of a day when we wake up.
Yeah.
And national health insurance is in practice.
Yeah.
How does that day look like for a lady called Miriamo who lives Kumulej?
Yeah. Okay. Let's start with the definition of national health insurance or universal health coverage. Maybe let's start with that and move to NHI. Universal health coverage says every human being has got the right to good quality health care. But when they exercise that right to get good quality health care, they must not suffer financial hardships. The World Health Organization call it catastrophic healthcare expenditure because they know many people, they are counted in billions around the world, who were not classified as poor in terms of the poverty data line of United Nations. But somebody got sick at home. All of a sudden, they are now falling within
they can't afford it.
They cannot. No, they are in debt.
Okay.
They've tried to, because people can't leave you to die. They sell everything they've got to make you live. Thereafter, they've got nothing. If you understand what I mean.
100%.
Yeah, so they were starting to stop that. So NHI is exactly that. We want all South Africans to have access to good quality health care. But when they do that, they must not suffer financial hardships. And it must not be determined by the depth of your pocket. Okay. Which are these proposals that DA is making? That some people are less important than others. And they are saying, no, but for those who are well-to-do, do this. For those who have got nothing, you can't do it because the country will collapse economically. That's what I hear them say. In other words, if you help everybody equally, the country is likely to collapse. So who do you help? Help those who are well-to-do only. Because they are prominent members of society. Now, should we accept that type of situation? Surely that's unfair. Now, funny enough, Solidarity say we are against Section 27 of the Constitution. Do you know what Section 27 is?
What is that? Isn't it?
Section 27 of the Constitution, it talks about health.
Okay.
It says everybody has got a right to health care, including reproductive health. That's what it says, is subsection 1.
Yes.
Subsection 2 says the state must do everything within available resources. State must do everything possible within available resources to make sure that this right is realized.
Of course.
And subsection 3 says no one may be refused emergency medical treatment.
Anywhere.
No one.
Yes, but anywhere. I can walk
Yes.
into any hospital if I've been shot.
That's what it means.
Yeah.
But is this happening practically?
I wouldn't know.
No, it's not. If you don't know, when we get out of here,
You want to shoot me so I
No,
will see what
no,
I can walk into any hospital.
let's not shoot you. Just get a small car accident on the road and be found bleeding.
And then
The first private ambulance that's going to arrive there, they're not going to check your pulse or whether you are
Your
breathing
vitals.
or not. They're not going to check your vitals like we are taught ABC of resuscitation. They are going to check first whether you've got medical aid. If you don't have, they pass.
whoa.
That's what's happening practically. And if I'm wrong, please tell me, because I've seen that many times. If you don't have medical aid, they pass, or they say, no, this one belongs to a public hospital. I've even asked them when I was in health for the first time, can you just pick up everybody and please come and drop them in the public hospital and pass?
At least pick them up.
Yes, pick them up because they are bleeding, they are injured. And look for the nearest public hospital, drop them there.
Sure.
At least, you know.
Okay.
So that is section 27. Now, Solidarity say we are going against it. I don't know. The present system is definitely going against it.
They're saying the entire NHI Act should be declared unconstitutional.
Yes.
They're saying the president should be prevented from bringing portions of the act into effect.
Yes.
That's what Solidarity
Yeah, they are saying so. Because NHI, David, is not going to be an event. It's a process.
Okay.
Which in other words, it's a process that you gradually introduce. And people are asking us, how much is it going to cost and all that? You only cost what you are going to implement that year.
Okay.
Let me give you an example. We want certain things to happen, for instance, to pregnant women.
Okay.
They must have a particular package under NHI. When you are ready for that, you implement it. And we have already done so, by the way. It's not new, but
Okay.
people don't realize it as that. This world's biggest HIV counseling and testing, when we implemented it, we said every South African must go and test for their HIV status. If they are positive, they must be put on treatment, which is what you are doing. And when we do so, it must not depend on the size of their pocket. In fact, there was a debate in the department that no, but those who have got medical aids must pay, because they've got a medical aid already. I said no. I rejected it. I said the moment you want to deal with this disease and you bring money in, then you are causing problems. Whether you are a billionaire or a gardener or a domestic worker, if you are HIV positive, you are entitled to treatment.
Or unemployed.
Or unemployed,
matter.
Yes, you are entitled to treatment, and it must be the same for everybody. If you deserve this type of ARVs, you must get them. We mustn't come and say, no, but you are on a low-cost medical aid. We can't give you this treatment to give you the other. Diseases can't choose that when they affect you. Yes.
They don't choose the rich over the poor.
They don't choose the rich over the poor. You wake up being poor, HIV positive. That one is rich, is HIV positive. Why can't you get equal treatment?
Yeah.
That's our problem. When you get TB, why can't you get equal treatment?
I want to go back again to the practical application. And you answer it, but I want, because my goal is to achieve the simplest simplicity we can really
the
get.
The simplest simplicity is that in South Africa, you have got two healthcare systems.
True.
One very highly resourced, the other not.
True.
In South Africa today, those who are well-to-do like me and you who have got medical aid, we can use both.
Yes, both systems.
Yes.
Yeah.
But those who don't have medical aid cannot. Even if what they need is in the other system, they cannot go there.
Because they can't afford it.
Because they can't afford it.
But then what happens to their lives during, in the practical application of national health insurance?
Because now you have got a fund which funds everybody equally.
Whereas that fund is a government fund.
The NHI fund is a national fund.
100%.
Yeah,
it's
for
Department
the whole
of
country.
Health. Yes.
It's for the whole country.
Got it?
Yes.
Yeah.
It might be that the Minister of Health is in charge. We are going to put a board which controls the money, not the Department of Health.
Of course.
A board that is in charge of that money. It's independent, in other words. It's a 3A public entity.
Okay.
If you understand what I mean.
100%.
Yes,
100%.
a 3A public entity is independent of the state, but it's not
But it
independent
answers
of
to the
government.
state. It
Yes.
answers to parliament.
It answers to parliament, yes. Like the BMA, simplest. The BMA is a 3A entity. In other words, Home Affairs is no longer having a unit, a chief director or a director that's running at the borders. It is now done by the BMA because they're 3A with a commissioner, deputy commissioner, and all that. They are independent. Yes, so we're going to establish a 3A entity to run that fund.
And once it's established, there's the fund. It continues to be available for it to be funded. Now let's bring one step of this discussion and put a patient in the middle of that scenario. How does that patient live now that patient lives in Soweto and they wake up in the morning, they feel very sick? How do they access that? Can they go anywhere?
First, no. You see, that they can't go anywhere. Firstly, they must go to a GP.
Yes.
That's where you start. In other words, it must start at the bottom.
Yes.
As you said, just like in law. They must go to a GP. If not, they must go to a clinic.
When they get to the GP, they're saying, I don't have money to pay.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They must go to the clinic. If they can't go to the clinic, they must go to a CHC.
What is that?
Community Health Center.
Got it, yes.
Or they must go to a district hospital. The hospitals are graded.
Yes.
The district is the smallest, follows the regional, and then the tertiary, and the central, the big guns, the Pigo Bar, and all that. So you can't go start at the top, you start at the bottom.
Can I say I go straight to the top because there's a doctor there? Say, can I go to Bara?
That's where the problem is with our healthcare system.
Okay.
That's where the problem is.
Because we are all going to be in a queue at Bara.
Even for a small thing, even for losing a toenail, even for flu, you are going to be seen by a specialist, somebody who trained for 15 years. You know, yes, it's going to be expensive. That's why our system is so expensive, David.
Okay.
So you go to a GP who must treat you. If it's an ordinary flu, you can deal with it.
And finish there.
Yes. And be paid. And one of the recommendations of the market inquiry, which coincides with NHI, they say abolish this fee for service.
Okay.
Yes.
Why?
The graph I've shown you. Have you seen that? We're the only country that is putting emphasis on that. Fee for service, that's the green color. Yes. In
That's
other words,
cash.
where
That's
you pay
cash.
cash.
Yeah.
Yes. And they say
And
it's
then
a disaster if you pay cash.
Yeah.
Abolish it. Find a method that you must pay for that GP.
Okay.
Who that woman from Soweto you're talking about is going to see. There are several methods of payment. One of them is capitation.
Okay. Explain.
Yes, where we say GP, if you have seen 20 people per day, this is how much we pay you. Rather than you charging everybody like you are doing in a supermarket. Yes. And then there's something called DRGs, diagnostic related groups.
Okay.
You classify diseases like that. So that, and you abolish pay, cash payment.
Okay.
You abolish cash payment. You pay from this fund.
And the doctor will claim from the fund.
In the present system, yes, will claim for in the present system. Even with medical aid, you are still paying cash.
Well, it depends what package I have.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
But does your disease know what package you have?
Of course not.
So, do the disease know that this one, David has got this small package, I can't infect it? No.
Your disease just attacks.
The disease just attacks billionaire, millionaire, domestic servant, the boss, the teacher, and all that. It doesn't choose. But then we come in and choose.
Okay, let's carry on.
And David,
yes,
before we pass, I passed medicine. I'm a doctor.
Yes.
I went through many textbooks of medicine. What you are doing now is not in any textbook of medicine. What you are practicing now in South Africa in healthcare. In all medical textbooks, they put a disease and explain what it is. And then they explain how it comes to you.
And how you treat it.
And they explain how you treat it. Yeah. There they don't say for a domestic worker, this is how you treat
these are
it.
the most common diseases for domestic workers, and this is how you treat them.
No, they don't.
And if a rich
For
person comes, this is how we treat them.
When a person is rich or has got medical aid, this is how you treat them. There's no textbook that is like that. But we are doing it anyway. Is it not what is unconstitutional? Why are you deviating from what was taught in a medical school? You say, no, look, I can't give this person, this thing is too expensive. It's not for him. I can't do this procedure to this guy because he doesn't have money.
100%. I want to carry on because I realize you and I are going to end up having time pressure. We're recording this in the morning. I have a radio show coming, and that Motsoaledi has a busy schedule of people questioning all these things that he's doing. The next one, this patient now goes to a doctor. Get it from the GP.
Yeah.
GP says, oh, I can't treat you here. It's not flu, for example.
Yes.
This one requires the next step.
Yes.
Carry on. Tell me the story. What
He
happened?
can refer you to a specialist or to a hospital.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that hospital treats me and claim
from NHI. Yes. Yes.
Same process.
Yes, but they can't claim anything that is in their head right now.
Of course.
There are parameters of that claiming and the system of claiming, which can't be exorbitant like it's happening now.
Because you would have regulated it.
We'll have regulated it. There will have been a pricing committee or regulation as Judge Ngobo has, what do you call? Has recommended. Yes. And then that hospital or clinic or whoever might say, no, this is higher than me. For instance, if you go to that specialist and he discover that you need a super specialist, like a cardiologist, then he will refer you.
Every level, there's a claim, obviously, because there's a service that's offered.
Yes.
The GP charges.
Yes.
The specialist charges. The super specialist charges. Everybody charges.
Yes. Yes.
You get a bed, there's a charge.
Yes.
All these stages have costs. And the common question that comes is there enough money for an NHI to operate within the knowledge that we have so far? Will the NHI have enough money?
I've already told you that we have got enough money in the country.
So there's no problem
told
there.
You so. The problem is how that money is distributed and how it is used. I've already told you. We've got R500 billion, which is 8.5% of the GDP of South Africa, which many countries don't have. Why are many countries having this NHI, this universal health coverage? I've showed you rich countries like China.
No, you did.
You saw that.
You did.
That we have, as a percentage of GDP, we're spending much more than them. The problem is redistribution of this resource.
Yeah.
That's already there. And if you look at the NHI Act, we are saying, let's start with these tax credits.
So
33 billion.
So you're saying I shouldn't be getting that tax credit anymore?
Yes.
As a person who's paying medical aid.
Yeah, but we are very reasonable. We are not saying a blanket. We are saying start for those who are on medical aid who earns much higher. Take the tax credit away. Let me give you an example. The president has asked that question. He asks it every day. Why, as a president, am I being subsidized? I can take care of myself.
And
why can't this money you are subsidizing with me go to the poor?
Are you then equally saying subsidies for government employees must be taken away?
We have not yet said that in the Act. But eventually, of course, if there's NHI, why should they be subsidized?
Because they can just be treated like everybody else.
Exactly. Like everybody else who's sick. Why differentiate? So the tax credit, once they come in, we start by saying, okay, those who are at the lower level, because NHI is gradual, it's not yet well established. So let's start with the ones at the top and say, do away with your tax credit. Surely what the president say, I heard Dr. Letlape saying, the president mentions it. Yes. To say, but why can't we do it?
What can we put it? Let's because I realize we've run out of time, unfortunately.
It's you who is asking questions.
It's you who's answering the questions.
Yes.
I want to talk about, because you're saying take away the subsidy. You realize that will make a few people unsettled, obviously. Because
Dr. Letlape told you that already. Those who already have, it's like land.
Those who have...
Don't you think it's fair to redistribute land in the country? Do you think those who own huge pieces of land
must share?
Yeah, but do you think they are going to sit down and say yes? They are fighting even now. So it's exactly the same thing. It doesn't mean that it is fair. It's good. They are just saying, I want to keep what I have. Don't bring the others.
How does that world, the world of national health insurance, look like for medical aids? How does that world, and I want you to give a fair answer in that regard.
What do you look like for medical aids?
Because they operate now. I get it. You remember Meola, here's a patient who goes to a doctor.
Yes.
They have a medical aid. Traditionally, they've always had a medical aid. And now NHI exists.
Yes.
Their medical aid is no longer necessary.
Well, it depends whether you want it or not. Contrary to what they are saying, we are not abolishing medical aid.
Okay.
We are all saying, because there's going to be a package, part of the committees in terms of Section 57 of the National Health Act, there's going to be a board that talks about benefits. What benefits are due to each person?
Okay.
What benefits are there for a pregnant woman?
Okay.
What benefits are there if you are mentally ill? What benefits are there if you lose a leg and all that? So those will be the benefits that are determined.
Okay.
If NHI pays for them, you are saying then medical aids cannot come and pay for the same thing.
Okay.
They can't.
So it changes their business completely.
Of course it must.
Yeah.
Otherwise, David, why do we want change in the country? And when it comes, we say it mustn't affect me.
No,
it has to be.
I'm playing devil's advocate. I have to ask these questions.
It is what we call transformation.
Yes.
It affects some people.
Do you understand why they're kicking and screaming, though?
What?
The medical aid companies.
Yes, I understand, but I can't accept it.
So they must go ahead, kick and scream.
No, I can't accept it because aren't other people kicking and screaming, those who have got nothing? Are unemployed doctors not kicking and screaming? Should I turn a blind ear to them and say, no, this, do you understand what I mean?
I hear you.
There are other people who are kicking and screaming. And we are not saying, no. To stop them from kicking and screaming, let's do away with these rich ones. We are saying, let's share the little that is there. Now, to summarize that, there's a man called Paul Farmer. He is from Harvard University. He's a medical anthropologist, a very serious activity. He has got a very, very powerful code because he doesn't like this thing. He happens to be an American, the very same country.
And pays just as much.
He says, and I quote, the idea that some lives matter less is the root of all that is wrong with the world.
Life must matter equally.
Yes. The idea that some lives matter less is the root of all that is wrong with the world. Close quote.
I want to conclude this conversation and ask you this question. Why is it that we are not able to employ doctors? Is the answer obvious? Should it be obvious to all of us?
No, it's not. It can't be obvious because, as I said, people are not used to a doctor not getting employed at all.
It doesn't make sense.
Yes, doesn't make sense to them. Absolutely, because they are not used to it. But at the moment, it's because they've been severe budget cuts. We have never had a severe budget cuts since democracy as we are experiencing now. We haven't had. And part of the problem when you ask Treasury is that, remember during the time of COVID, we are just starting to recover from that. But we also suffered severe load shedding where, so many companies did not pay the tax collected.
True.
Not only companies.
But it's improved though.
Yeah.
I don't want us to get into the...
No. In the present budget we are having, they collected 28 billion rand less than what was projected. The Treasury always project. So if they could have collected that 28 billion rand as they projected or as they usually did,
there'll be more money.
There wouldn't have been the unemployment of these doctors. The doctors who are unemployed now, who were matching 1,500, the cost is 1.9 billion. And the under collection here was 28 billion. So it's a new thing. It's very painful, but unfortunately that's where we are. What I'm challenging, David, is that when the situation is like that, Then we go, this meeting I told you, we're sitting, and say, but these who are employed already, by how much do we increase for them to sit comfortably on a medical aid? We're not saying, should we? We could be saying, look, we can't increase for them because there are unemployed doctors here. But they will tell you, no, but this is statutory, we have got to do it. So we're debating how much. And so I'm saying, if there's austerity in the country, it must affect us equally. You can't say there's austerity when you are poor.
Yes.
Unfortunately, we can't do this for you because you are poor. When you are rich, this austerity can't affect you. We can't do that. But that's exactly what's happening.
Your predecessor said, because after that, government changed. He said they'll find money. Last year in April, Dr. Joe Patla said, no, man, we'll solve this thing of unemployed doctors. We'll actually find money. Here it is, an article. It's not even it's something that he didn't say.
The austerity is for this financial year, where these cuts happened.
So you're saying immediately after promising that I'll buy you sweets,
no.
then there was a cut?
No.
That's February, and he said by April.
That's February 1994. That's the previous
2024. Yes,
that's the previous financial year, and that's the previous financial year, and in the present financial year now. Because there were these budget cuts, which were severe, which nobody thought they will happen. Exactly. So it's not that we've closed the door altogether. Yesterday, I met the president and the minister of finance. We are still looking into this issue, but we are just saying this is how it happened. It's a new thing. It has not happened before, but unfortunately, this has happened. It will not have been felt that much by unemployed doctors if our system was not differentiated between the rich and the poor. We will have said, look, we have got austerity. There are budget cuts. These increments or subsidies tax rebates
must be reduced.
Yeah, must be reduced to deal with those who have got nothing. But no, our law doesn't say that. And under NHI, we are going to insist that the law must say that.
I'm so late. It's so bad. I will release you. Are you xenophobic?
Oh, hell no, I'm not.
I asked this question because it's easy for people to think that you are. Because you're the one person who was very clear saying that we need to deal with this problem of illegal, foreign nationals in our country.
Illegal.
Illegal.
Yes.
Yes. Highlight.
Yes.
How should we deal with them? And I know you're no longer in that portfolio. However, you treat them in hospitals.
Yes.
When they're here.
Yes.
So they remain a part of your portfolio in some form.
Yes.
How should we deal with foreign nationals? As far as
it's a very difficult issue. But remember, before I left Home Affairs, I came up with a white paper on immigration and said we need to press a reset button.
Okay.
Some of the laws we made after democracy were making wrong assumptions, if you understand what I mean. That led to here where we are.
Yeah.
One of the things we did after democracy was to remove control at the borders, believing that there's no more war, we are neighbors. We never thought your neighbor will jump into your house illegally. We never thought so. Now we know it happened. We've established a BMI, right? Then we looked at the Citizenship Act of 1995. We looked at the Refugee Act of 1998. We looked at the Immigration Act of 2002, and we found lots of mistakes that put us here where we are, that we made wrong assumptions. In the white paper, we are saying, in pressing the reset button, let's repeal all those laws.
Start again.
Start again.
Start everything again.
Start the new laws again.
Yeah.
If that is everything, yes. And I've given you the laws that we must restart again.
Yeah.
I have said so. On the issue of treatment, there are even court cases on that. We are treating everybody who's HIV positive.
Legal or illegal?
Anybody who's HIV positive, if you find them. Because if you don't do so, you'll never defeat this disease.
Do you treat everyone? Let's talk about other diseases.
No, I'm talking about communicable diseases.
Okay.
Other diseases will be diabetes and cancer. If you just say, I'm going to be able to treat everybody with cancer, there's no country that has got resources for that. That's all I said. It's not xenophobia. Yes.
If I come to your hospital, I have flu and I'm an illegal foreign national. What do you do with it?
There are rules that apply. For instance, in the Constitution, it says no one may be refused emergency medical treatment. There's no one. So if an emergency, you'll do it. But if a person wants a long-term treatment, that case has already been settled by a court of law, not us, at Helen Joseph Hospital, where there was a lady from Burundi who was demanding dialysis for chronic kidney diseases.
Was it legal?
I think she was legal, that one. She was not illegal. She was even legal. And the government said, no, we don't have money for that. And the judge agreed because in section 27, subsection 2, it says within available resources. Resources must be available for that. Yes. Now there's a ruling that was in Gauteng recently that said you must treat everybody who is inside South Africa if they've got ailments, except those who come specifically for treatment. Those who cross and say, I'm going to South Africa.
Because I'm pregnant.
Because I'm pregnant.
Yeah.
You know, there's a story of a pregnant woman. Somebody just sent me the clip, very painful, of a woman in Zimbabwe who crossed the border illegally, came to deliver in South Africa. Something went wrong, and he sued the state for 17 million rand, and she got it.
We leave it there.
Is that xenophobic?
No.
Exactly. Thanks.
Thank you so much. I wish we had more time. It's always like that with you, though. You may have noticed. We always need more time. Thank you so much, Minister.
Thank you, David. I appreciate that you are going to make our people get information.
And understand this.
And understand.
Yes.
Thank you.
Record this for me quickly. Say, please subscribe to King David Studio.
Please subscribe to King David Studio. You'll get all the information you want.
King David Studio Podcast.